Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Weinberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. Today is 12/12, December 12th. So we have a quick angel number reading for you today. So I'm just going to do a quick 10-minute readings, just check in with some energies and just, offer some love, care, and support for you. Okay, I have 3 groups for you today. You can go ahead and pick by the card you can see, by the number, by the sound of my voice, group 1, group 2, or group 3. When you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 1. So you all pick the card, I honor how I want to feel. So this is just a good reminder that, sometimes we can get really swept up in the physical reality things of life, and we think like, okay, I need to have this particular thing, and then I need to have this thing, and I need to work towards this thing, and I need to do this thing, because we get so focused on having these certain things that we forget to check in, like, what does this actually feel like for me? So we think like, it's good to have goals, it's good to have things you want to grow into and expand and all of that, right? But sometimes we can get really caught up in like, okay, well, I want to have this, this, and this, but we don't check in and say like, oh, how does this actually feel for me? How does my own life feel to me? How does this particular thing feel for me, right? And so I honor how I want to feel as a reminder for everyone who picked group 1. What I'm hearing is just, checking in with yourself and just saying, okay, I have this, this, and this thing, but like, how does it feel, right? Or is this actually a match for me? Or is this thing or situation or person or whatever, are they actually healthy? Sometimes we can overlook that too, unfortunately, and we can, get really caught up in like, oh, well, it should have been this, this, and this way, or I should have this, this, and this thing, right? But anything you make an idol will fall. All false idols fall. And so if you are demanding, this particular thing to make you feel this certain way, or this other thing to make you feel this other way, right? We have to remember that how your life feels to you is more important than how it looks to other people. Now, sometimes those things line up, right? Sometimes there's things in life that society approves of, or it's the messaging we get, and it actually does match towards us and what we feel like. But other times we're doing all these things and pushing and pushing and pushing, but we're not even checking in and being like, does that feel good to me? Does that even feel like something I want, right? And so I honor how I want to feel is just a reminder to don't forget yourself in the equation. Sometimes we can get really caught up in the wanting and the working towards, which is good. Again, it's good to have goals. It's good to push ourselves, but we forget to check in and just be like, well, where am I in all of this? Where am I considering myself? How do I feel? What does this look like? What does this mean? So I honor how I want to feel is just a reminder to don't forget yourself in the equation, check in with yourself, check how you're feeling, check what's going on for you, instead of, rushing around and, just trying to focusing everything external, that there's no check-in with yourself. And you're like, oh, actually, I am feeling this particular way about something, or I am feeling this other way, or, whatever is going on for you. So I honor how I want to feel. Okay, I'm going to pick 3 tarot cards for you guys, and then I will pick some oracle cards. Okay, so I normally pick 3, but I felt like picking 4, so here we go. So you have the 6 of Swords, you have the Devil, and then you have the 9 of Pentacles and Temperance. So what I'm seeing with this for you guys, I feel like, again, there's this big split in your energy. Group 1, I honor how I want to feel. There's like this one side of like these more intense energies and making hard decisions and choosing to say no to certain things, and then the other side is like the balance and the abundance. Okay, so the 6 of Swords and the Devil is, 6 of Swords is about loss and mourning and letting something go and leaving something behind. And then the Devil, of course, is like being tempted by the devil. It's, addiction energy. It's about something that maybe doesn't feel the best for me, but I feel like I can't live without this thing, or who am I if I don't have this thing or do this thing, or, whatever the story is. Okay, and then on the other side, we have the 9 of Pentacles and Temperance, and that's about, 9 of Pentacles is about like owning your energy, feeling comfortable in who you are, feeling confident in your decisions. And then Temperance is about, balanced energy, nourishment, filling your own cup back up, trusting in, the rise of a new day. You can see daylight coming up back there, nourishing yourself, all of that. So what I'm hearing with this, with I honor how I want to feel, is it's about making sure that you're not making these decisions that like are totally, like, basically what I'm hearing is you have 2 choices, right? You have these decisions that will totally feel like it's the end of the world, like, don't feel the best. You're just like moving away from yourself is what I'm hearing a lot of. And this idea of just like, well, okay, I have the whole world, I have all these goals, I have all these things, but like, where is my relationship with myself? And like, how am I feeling on the inside? Or we have these choices where you feel grounded and clear and centered and it feels nourishing. So I'm here, obviously we're not stupid. We have to make decisions that are based in physical reality. We have to make decisions that are practical. We have to make decisions where we consider reality and all of these things. But because there's such a big obvious split between these cards, I feel like, sometimes it is pretty obvious of like, if something feels overwhelmingly bad, no matter how it looks on paper, if it's like hurting your heart and making you question yourself and you don't feel good, that means it's not something for you. Okay. It can be really hard to walk away from that. It can be really tempting to stay there, especially if it's something familiar or something you've cultivated over and over and over again. But what I'm really hearing is, just looking at these two, it's like, how does something feel? And obviously there's a caveat here, right? There's the discomfort of like, this feels bad because it's new to me, or this feels bad because I'm not super familiar and I just have to like figure it out. And then there's things that just feel bad where eventually it's just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. This is harming me. I've been forgiving enough. I've been trying my hardest and it's just like not working. Okay. So obviously sometimes we do need to wait and see things and see how they turn out and all that. But there eventually we get to a point where we can't ignore that something just feels so bad and like so not a good match for us, versus things that feel nourishing. And again, remembering like sometimes we're afraid to say yes to something that feels good to us because we're worried about what our life looks like to other people, right? Or to the world, or it doesn't match up to society standards or my culture standards or my family's expectations, or even, my own projected view of myself of what I thought was going to be for me. So this is a reminder you can always check in with these energies, and you can always check in with like, how is something making me feel, and is it a match for me or not, right? And just trusting that versus like, again, getting through that stage of discomfort, but remembering like something shouldn't feel like your heart is breaking every single day. It shouldn't feel like the end of the world. It shouldn't feel like totally impossible and intense and unbelievable. Okay, then we have, you're already doing it. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. So I feel like group one, maybe there is this little bit of knowing in yourself, or maybe there's this feeling of like, I should have said, like, is this the right path? Or I don't know if I should be doing this, or is this the right thing for me? Okay, but this is already saying you're already doing it. So if you have some doubts or some questions of like, should I be honoring what I feel? Is this the right thing? Is this a healthy thing, right? If you're already moving along that path, and then doubt is a normal thing to come up when we're growing outside of our comfort zone. If we always felt comfortable, we would never feel any doubt, right? Because it's like, oh God, what am I doing? What's happening, right? So you're already doing it as a reminder that you are already doing it, first of all, okay? And then second of all, you can trust yourself and you can keep going, and just remembering that, how something feels, like that discomfort of growing is different than the discomfort of like, this is not a match for me. I cannot stay here. I can't do this anymore. Okay, so you're already doing it. It's just a reminder, keep trusting yourself, keep listening to yourself, keep honoring how you want to feel, remembering like these things, all do work together. And keep going with that gut knowing. Like, again, we have to be logical, we have to be practical. I understand we live on earth, like we can't be in like la la land ignoring everything. Okay, but just a reminder, you're already doing it. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. Okay, then we get 2 more oracle cards for you guys. Let go and surrender. Yeah, okay, so I think this is very much, again, along with that theme. Sometimes we can think, especially if we're choosing something that doesn't look like it's a match to the rest of society, or doesn't look like it's like a complete fit for everything around us, right? This energy is about, can you trust yourself to handle it? Can you trust that you're going to show up for yourself? Can you trust that you're going to make a way for yourself? Can you trust that, like, these desires that are in our hearts, like, aren't there for us to be punished by them? These things happen for us because that's what we want to experience. That's what feels good for us. That's what, how we want to have this soul expansion. So let go and surrender, as I feel like if you're in this thing, this energy of, pulling between these two things, as long as you're respecting yourself, showing up for yourself, not hurting other people, you know, this is the way to focus. Let go and surrender is just a reminder that, you can be on your way, and you can trust the process. You can trust the way you're going. You can trust that you can make a way for yourself. You can have these things come together, all of, excuse me, all of that energy. Okay, we'll look at one more oracle card. Okay, then we have abundance. Okay, so Again, this isn't, sometimes when people think of abundance, they think of like physical reality abundance. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about like feeling content, feeling full, feeling at peace with yourself. And again, that comes from making decisions that feel good to you. That comes from trusting the desires that are in your heart. That comes from trusting what feels authentic and true to you, right? So like abundance is this state that comes when we follow our hearts, when we respect ourselves, when we do things that are in alignment with our self, that is connected to integrity, that is connected to trusting ourselves, to respecting ourselves, right? So abundance does very much connect to, it's more of like this internal feeling than it's this outer, physical reality things. And like, again, we're not stupid. Okay. Like I understand we need to have food, we need to have a home to live in, we need to have all these things so we feel content and clear within ourselves. Okay. But abundance, we have to remember, is, can come from this place of like feeling content and clear within ourselves, and knowing that the inner peace that comes from that, from trusting ourselves, from listening to our heart, from not giving up on ourselves, right? All of that is just as important as, things that come up in physical reality for us. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 2. So you all picked the card, I surrender to a power greater than me. So this one, for all my controlaholics out there, for everyone who wants to control everything, right? I surrender to a power greater than me. This is just a reminder that all these things we think we're in control of, we're not, okay? A lot of times it's really easy and it gets really enforced by society and our ego and, like this preoccupation with ourselves, with our own self-interest, right? Of just like, we get mixed up of all these things we think we can control versus what we can actually control. And they're very, very different things. Okay. So I surrender to a power greater than me as a reminder that, all these, how do I want to say this? Okay, if you thinking like, well, why isn't this happening? Or why is this like this? Or why is this? Or why, it's like, okay, you're probably trying to control something that you can't be controlling and you have no business trying to control, but you think you can. And no judgment, because I've been there. Okay, this is a lesson for me over and over again, right? But I surrender to a power greater than me is a reminder that there is this something bigger than us, whatever you want to call it, however you want to identify with it, right? And that we cannot control that. We cannot control the whole world around us. We cannot control people around us. We can do all, even if we did X, Y, and Z perfectly to get this end outcome result, we could do it all perfectly and not get the end outcome of everything, okay? And that's not any fault or failure on our end. It just shows that we are not in control of these certain things. So I surrender to a power greater than me is a reminder that like you're not in control of everything. Okay. Like again, that could be not the greatest news to hear, the most fun thing to hear, but I surrender to a power greater than me is a reminder that, when we take our focus off what we can't control, and we say, okay, this is life on life's terms. Who am I to argue with it? Who am I to say that I'm right and other people are not, or the situation is not, or God is not, right? That's what actually brings us peace, because it's a healthy level of discernment to say, okay, this is something I can't control and this is something I can control. So surrendering to a power greater than you doesn't mean, it's not like passive. It's not like, oh, I give up. It's not whatever. It's just a reminder that there is something out there that is in control more than we are. And it's up to us to stop making life harder for ourselves because we're trying to like push and shove and move all these things around and demand it be this, and this way, right? When that's not actually our business. So surrendering to a power greater than me is a reminder that there are things out there that we can't control. And there are things that, again, are coming together for our highest good. We just don't know what they are. And it won't help us in the long run to try to control and demand and say, okay, it has to be this, and this way, or this, and this thing. It can be and easier said than done, I know. Okay. But just a reminder that if you're trying to push and force and nothing's happening, really checking in with that and just checking in with like, okay, what am I trying to control that I actually have no business controlling? Okay, so for your tarot cards, you have the Queen of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Three of Pentacles. So what I'm seeing here is let everything work together in your life for you. Okay, so sometimes when we say like I surrender to a power greater than me, we think like, okay, like I said, it feels like, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm passive, I don't care, I give up, whatever, right? But surrendering to a power greater than you, again, it's just a very high level of discernment. It's like getting clear about, okay, this is something I can't control. This is something I can control. This is what feels good for me. This is what doesn't feel good for me. Okay, because look, we have this Queen of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, and then Three of Pentacles. So this Queen of Wands is like your energy and just like feeling empowered and clear within yourself and saying, this is what I can control. This is where I can put my own energy. This is how I can talk about myself to myself. This is how I can look at myself in like a kind, loving way. Right. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is, you know, like these external things, right? The world, God, the universe, whatever language you use, to know that like this is, things are happening for us that we can't control. Things are coming together. There's a lot of pieces and parts moving. There's a lot of things going at the same time, right? And then this Three of Pentacles is about teamwork. It's about, could be your work team. It could be about people in your community. It could be about your friendship group, right? So all of these things working together is, you know, when you surrender to a power greater than you, again, like knowing that's a level of discernment. And part of that energy is also knowing, okay, this is my things to work on. This is my things to give to God. And this is my things to ask my community for help and support with. Okay. So knowing that like these things aren't here to punish you. They're not to make you feel bad about yourself. It's not for you to feel weak or whatever. You know, sometimes when we feel like we're not in control, we want to isolate or we want to be like, okay, well, then I'm not going to do any of this stuff because I have to turn inward and do this, and this with myself, right? But all of these things are just reminders that it's okay for you to, you know what is your things to be responsible for and know which things are for you to ask for help with or surrender or not try to control anymore. So what I'm hearing is like group 2, if you want to think about, you know, okay, here's my list of things I can control. Here's things I can't control, but maybe that I want. And here's some places maybe I can get some support in my life instead of trying to feel like, okay, I have to do everything or I have to do nothing or all of this is like this or it's all like this, right? So kind of separating that out. And again, like that's a way for you to use discernment and feel clear and empowered within yourself because you are letting things fall where they need to fall instead of completely trying to control everything all on your own, which as we know, it's not possible, not helpful, usually does more damage than good in the long run because it's, you know, again, we see ourselves in a way that is not the most helpful. Okay, then for your first oracle card, we have the Crumbling. What are you clinging on to? So yeah, I feel like when we give up control, it's really easy to feel like our world's falling apart, right? Because that's why we hold on to control, right? For safety. So we can say, I'm in charge of this, this, and this, and I know it's going to turn out this, this, and this way, even if we don't actually know that, but that's what we tell ourselves so we feel better, right? So the Crumbling, what are you clinging on to? What are you holding on to? And that can be why you're afraid to surrender or why you're afraid to let go. It's like, well, I won't be taken care of. I won't have my needs met. I won't whatever, right? And so this is where you really need to look at, you know, we get to the point eventually where holding on to something hurts us more than like letting it go and releasing it. So this is really a time for you to turn inward and to really check with yourself and to just really get clear about like, you know, what are you clinging on to and how can you let that go? How is it harming you? How is it not beneficial for you? How are you like overriding your own love and care for yourself by clinging and clinging and clinging, right? So this is really it's not easy, you know, take this honest look at yourself and just, you know, remember that when you hold on, God can't do anything for us when we hold on to everything so tightly. So, you know, what are you clinging on to? What are you trying to, you know, force or demand or in denial about, right? And instead, what can you kind of let go with that? And instead let, you know, these things that are beyond your control be taken care of by something outside of you. Okay, and then we have the card Begin Again. So I feel like, again, this is just a reminder. This could be like, if you're in a huge chapter of your life of like letting something go, this is just a reminder that like you can begin again every single day whenever you want, anytime in the day, right? You don't have to just keep doing this one thing over and over again. If you are stressed out or having a hard time or whatever, you can just say, okay, I'm going to choose to tell a new story right now. I'm going to choose to begin again right now. I'm going to choose to have a different experience right now, right? I can start my day over. I can reconnect to myself. I can pray, meditate, realign with some of that energy instead of feeling totally like, you know, oh, I can't, feeling totally disempowered, right? Begin again can also be, you know, that you choose to surrender in the middle of your day. Like, okay, God, I know I'm thinking about this too much, or I'm in charge. I'm trying to make it my way and my agenda. more than your way. So can you please help me let go of that and not do that anymore? And then we have the card Strength. So again, I feel like this is, it takes strength to let go. And that seems counterintuitive probably, but strength is, again, like I've been talking about this whole reading, is it takes discernment to understand which things is your business to try and focus on and which things are not. So strength is a reminder that you have the strength to do this, you have the strength to let this go, you have strength to trust the process, to trust in this power greater than you, right? It does take strength to place your future in God's hands, to trust the process, to not try to control everything, right? It's easier to try to control things we have no business controlling, because then we don't have to focus on our uncomfortable feelings. We don't have to sit with our discomfort. We don't have to feel our fear of, am I going to be taken care of? Am I going to be okay? Right? The strength is about remembering that you do have a choice. You can let things go. You can let things, you can be strong enough to know when enough is enough and know when something is not your business. And that does take strength. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. So you all pick the card, I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. So this can be about someone else, obviously, but the main message I'm getting is like, can you do this about yourself? Okay, obviously it can be helpful in relationships, romantic or platonic or whatever the situation is, to just be like, okay, I'm not going to demand this person be this specific way anymore. I have this expectation of things and I can just let them be like this. That doesn't mean you have no boundaries or you excuse like inappropriate or unhealthy behavior. Okay, I'm not condoning that at all, obviously, right? But sometimes this expectation we have of people can cause us so much damage instead of just seeing them for who they actually are and like letting them be that and letting that be enough. Unless it's not, of course, your own boundaries, but letting them be themselves and trusting what that means for our relationship with them instead of like, you need to be this specific way for me. But again, the other message I'm getting here is, I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. That includes yourself. Okay. We can be so harsh on ourselves. We can be so judgmental. We can look at ourselves from this way of like, well, this person did this, this, and this thing, so why didn't you? Or this person did this, this, and this, so why didn't you? Or you can say, you completely ignore the context of your own life and compare yourself to these other situations and these other people you see, which again, you don't know the full picture of their life. So this energy is really about, saying like, I'm going to let go of the shadow of the past, which means like, what harsh things did I learn to say about myself or to judge myself, either from an authority figure growing up, from society, from culture, from religion, from school, from the media, from, unlimited things, right? And it doesn't have to be something direct. It could just be like an indirect way we've heard this about ourselves, but just remembering that, you always have a choice. We all of us tend to master judging ourselves and being harsh to ourselves and looking at ourselves not with compassion, but with judgment. And so can we really instead look at these ways that, okay, this is what's going on for me. So how can I view myself in a way that's a little more kind, that's a little more compassionate, that's a little more understanding? So seeing ourselves for the first time, again, is like just erasing some of that judgment, erasing some of those ways we're harsh to ourselves out, instead of just demanding like, okay, you need to be this, and this way. Right. So just offering a little bit of kindness and compassion for ourselves with that. And easier said than done. So baby steps, and don't judge yourself, if you don't get it perfectly right away. But just, honoring that energy within yourself. Okay, I picked 3 tarot cards for you. You guys got the 10 of Cups, the Hierophant, and Justice. Okay, so I feel like we see these 2 guys, the Hierophant and Justice, very similar energy here. So I feel like, what I'm hearing is like a big reframe for yourself. Okay, so this 10 of Cups is about emotional fulfillment. It's about, obviously, we see this beautiful rainbow on here and like this family dancing around and sunlight and all these exciting things, right? So this is about feeling contentment and feeling, again, that emotional fulfillment within ourselves. And then this Hierophant and Justice. So I think with this 10 of Cups, just saying like, how can I feel emotional fulfillment within myself? How can I offer myself some compassion, some love, some kindness? how can I feel like I am enough? So again, when we look at this energy of seeing ourselves for the first time with the eyes of love, it's saying like, where am I telling myself a mean or unkind story about myself, right? We want to focus on the fact that you got through something, not that you had to deal with something unideal, or focus on the fact that you have the awareness and you want to change more than maybe, the change taking a little bit longer than you like. And this Hierophant energy, the Hierophant to me is always about back to basics. It's always about doing one thing at a time, going slowly, like all of that, right? And just so I feel like, this is where very simple things can come in, where you take care of yourself, right? Can I just put my hand on my heart and say a loving word to myself? Can I go for a walk? Can I make myself a nice meal? Can I take a shower? Can I have a bedtime, right? These ways that we do these simple things that communicate to ourselves that I love you and I care about you and I'm going to show up for you in this way, right? Instead of being like totally reckless and totally like not showing up for ourselves in this way. And then we have Justice, which is, of course, about justice, but in this case, we have the scales there. So I feel like this is about things coming back into balance. So group 3, I feel like if you offer yourself a little bit of love and compassion, and again, just doing these like small ways to take care of yourself, like keeping your room clean, or, again, eating a nourishing meal, drinking some water, just these small ways, like taking care of yourself, like you would take care of a small child. That's going to help put your emotional energy back into place, like these ways that we can show up for ourselves, and like getting the support you need, and not ignoring that you need help in this and this area, and there's no judgment. It's like we think we can be so compassionate to other people, but it's like when we need help, or we need judgment, or we not judgment, non-judgment, when we need care, when we need compassion, that's when we can get really, it's harder for us to do that for ourselves and for other people. So I think, just I'm just feeling a lot of gentle energy from these cards, and just a lot of like ways that you can allow yourself to, just really, you can even, hug yourself. It's so nice to just give ourselves a hug sometimes, but just do these things that just feel loving and compassionate. And that's part of, seeing yourself with like fresh eyes, is offering that love and care to yourself in a way that maybe we haven't been doing, just because we get so swept up in like, I should be here by now, or I should be doing this by now, or this is how this thing should feel for me by now, right? And sometimes it's just not true. Okay, and then for your oracle card, we have Break the Chain, Ancestral Patterns, Healing, Rewriting the Future. So yeah, so I feel like this is again that same thing. Every time we do something kind and loving to ourselves, it's like we refill the cup of like being kind and compassionate to ourselves. And we know many people, I feel like as a world, we're stepping into a little bit more gentleness. We're understanding the importance of being kind, of taking care of ourselves, of our mental health and all of that. So don't feel like just you doing that for yourself isn't worth anything, right? Like this is how many generations of families, right, haven't done any of these things. And now you're choosing to offer love, compassion, kindness, care, gentleness to yourself. And knowing that, that's not an easy feat. No pressure. No pressure. Okay. But this is just about knowing that, rewriting the future comes from, if I am being nourishing and kind and loving to myself right now, how all that will add up for me as I continue to move through life, instead of just feeling like, oh, well, what's the point of this, or what's that, just trusting like this foundation you're laying, these things you're doing to take care of yourself, all of those things add up, even if, you can't really see how or why right now. And then we have the card Now is the Time. So I think this is really beautiful. And again, echoing some more of this energy of just like, there's no better time to forgive yourself, to offer yourself compassion than right now in the present moment. And this is something we have to do over and over again. Life is so hard. Life is so challenging. So many things happen that we don't want to deal with. Okay. But so there's always a good time to turn inward, to be kind to yourself, to offer yourself some love and compassion, to remember that you don't need to be harsh to yourself anymore. You never have to say a mean thing about yourself or be upset with yourself intentionally. You can break that as much as you want when you can. Now is the time to invest in yourself. There's no better time to be kind and loving to yourself to right now, because again, all of those things add up. And it's like it takes the time it's going to take. And so if you can offer yourself some love and compassion, I mean, it's going to be worth it eventually for you to do that. Even if it doesn't feel like you're seeing any results or whatever, you're going to have to do it eventually if you want to feel more abundant and clear and kind within yourself. So again, might as well start now. Okay, and then we have mystery. So I feel like this is really about surrendering to the mystery of life, surrendering to the process of life. There's so many things that we think are like, why would this happen? And I don't know, that's just, there's some things that are just meant to be part of the mystery of life. And there's some things like, why would this happen to me? Why would I have to go through this? I don't know. Every single person I can guarantee has thought that about something in their life. And that's not to like invalidate yourself, but it's just a reminder that you're not alone in these things. And, sometimes it's surrendering to the mystery of why these things happen, and then also surrendering to the mystery of what can unfold from yourself. And again, rewriting this card about rewriting the future, right? Of like, you have no idea how these ways you show up for yourself, take care of yourself, pour into yourself, offer yourself this loving care. We have no idea how that's going to show up. And like the fruits that is gonna be grown from that. Like, we have no idea what we're gonna be able to reap from this like kindness we sow within ourselves. So just, surrendering to that and knowing that, excuse me, the, the reward for doing these things, the reward is just this peace and goodness and kindness that we feel within ourselves. So, just thinking about, is there any reward for these things besides the goodness that comes from them? And even looking at this justice card, just feeling this balance of like, it's easier to feel kind and compassionate and loving towards yourself when you have a clean heart, when you know you've acted in integrity to yourself and towards other people, right? It's easier to take what life throws at you, knowing that you have a clean heart and you've done your part and you've acted in like kindness and compassion for yourself. So again, this mystery is just letting go of the idea that maybe you even think like, I should have all the answers right now, or I should have this, or this, or it should be this way. Sometimes mystery is part of the surrender and is part of, the way of, we don't know why things are, they are, but we know how they are. And so what am I going to do with that as I'm moving forward? Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.